Okay. So yeah, as you're coming in, just feel free to put in the chat, where you're coming from and what drew you here today. And I just want to say, I'm so excited to be here with you as you're trickling in. I'm just really, really excited for the magic that is coming through today. I'm going to introduce it a little bit more in a minute, but Spirit really placed this on my heart. Spirit really put this on my heart. And I just really want to ignite the soul fire, the magic in all of you. So there are going to be a lot of fun things that we do today. But for now, we're just getting everyone here in the Zoom room. So let's just see. People. I think we'll wait 2 more minutes and then we'll begin. But let me just see where everyone is coming from. We have Winnipeg, Canada. Oh, Michelle, the south of France. Oh my goodness, that sounds beautiful. I can imagine. I've always wanted to go to the south of France. I've never been there myself.
Oh, have you been to France at all?
I've never actually. Okay, I was in the airport. I was going to Italy and I was in the French airport for probably about 10 minutes. I had to run through to make my connecting flight.
The picture of the castle that you've got on your invitation screen, there are castles in France that actually look like that.
Oh my God. Okay, well, clearly I meant to go there one day. Oh, I'm
yes.
I feel like I'm on a castle mission. That's what I do when I've been to, Ireland, Scotland. When I go, that's what I do is I go see the castles and everyone else is exhausted. They only need to see a couple castles and then they're castled out. But me, I have endurance. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We have a couple more people coming in. Oh, we have someone from Slovakia. Oh, and I have hi, Brittany here. So you used to write in high school, but now the universe is all you have to write some books now. Oh my goodness. Yes, you are in the right space. Definitely in the right space. Because I feel for me, my magic is, I want you to have that initial burst of creativity that gets the fire, brewing, but then we want to also sustain that fire, that flame of inspiration. So yes, that is part of what you need to write a beautiful book and bring your magic to the world. So excited to have you here, Brittany. And let me just see, I want to get started in a second. Let's see. Okay, feeling like we should start. I think that, hold on. So someone's saying to me, your meeting link is not a link, it's an image. So taking ages to type all the details in. Oh, okay. Hold on.
It might take people a little longer.
Yeah.
Maybe,
okay, hold on. Let me pause. I'll cut this out of the recording. I'm going to resend everyone the Zoom link. Hold on. Okay. Thank you everyone for your patience. I really appreciate it. I promise it's going to be super magical. It's all going to be worth it. I have 3 meditations for you here today, guided journeys, creative writing exercises. It is going to be really beautiful. So thank you just for bearing with me and for your patience. So another thing, sorry, this is taking so long. Don't worry, we're going to start in a second. Maybe you guys could put in the chat if you have a favorite goddess that you like to connect with. And also if you think that you have an inner creativity goddess, I would love to know that. We do have a couple more people coming in. Okay. 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 So yeah, I don't think, okay. Okay. So I think I was going to send everyone email, but I think we just need to start. So yes, I think that, hold on, we're just going to start. Hopefully people, if they're coming in, they will just like kind of put it in, they'll just like type it in, but I really want to start. So without further ado, everyone, welcome to the 3-day Sacred Writing Challenge. I'm so excited to have you here. And this is going to be a really magical 3-day journey. And, you know, it is my intention to really ignite your creative spark and really help you bring your magic to the world. And so for many, many years, I've identified as a writer and storyteller. And I really started on a very traditional path. You know, I have a master's in actually creative nonfiction, believe it or not. And it was funny because the further I went on my path as a traditional writer, the more I kind of felt that there's a great resistance in my soul. So as if my soul was like crying out for more. And I didn't really know what to do about it, but you know, I was actually in my master's program, getting my degree in creative writing, and I actually felt like there's this beautiful part of my soul that wasn't being expressed in like the traditional writing world, and I was like, I just don't know if I'm supposed to be a writer, if I belong here anymore. And so this is my dramatic thing that I always feel like I do this, you know, when I don't know, you know, what to do anymore. I decided that I was going to go, I was like, I'm going to climb a mountain. And by the end of, you know, my hiking, by the end of this like sacred pilgrimage up this mountain, and this is in like New England, I went to school in Boston. So like, this is like kind of in the White Mountains. These are really, you know, very desolate mountains. And I was like by myself. And I was like, by the time I come back down, I will know, you know, if I'm supposed to be a writer or not. And I was truly ready to just give everything up because my master's program at that time, the way it was structured, it was a really like kind of toxic structure, and everyone was really tearing people apart, and it just wasn't sitting with my soul. And so I got to the top of the mountain, and for the first time in my life, I really just I just surrendered. I was like, my whole heart wanted just to write and to love, you know, to be in the magic of words. And yet in this place, I felt like I could not bloom. And I felt like I could go no further on this path. And all of a sudden, this voice just broke through the night. And literally, this was the first time I really ever heard my guide speak to me. And it was just a voice that said, there is another way. And at this point, I'd started my spiritual journey, so I wasn't scared. I was like, okay, I know that this is a voice of some kind of wise elder coming through. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to listen. Whatever the sacred voice says, I'm going to honor it. And so I went, you know, down the mountain. And the voice actually guided me. It guided me to actually go into these sacred ancient writing practices, a lot of which were like simply like things like writing by candlelight. And what it wanted me to do is really come back to, it's like, what made me want to be a writer in the first place? What made me want to create and tell stories? And, you know, I really feel that for so many people, the magic gets dimmed. You know, like I think so many people, they have this great creative impulse inside them. And then society, you know, there's like kind of like there's a dimming that happens. And the goal for our time here together is to remind you on the deepest levels of your being that you are a divine creator, that you are here to bring magic to the world. And that might not mean that you have to go and write like a book or a script, but you know, everyone has a magical and sacred relationship with words. And I actually believe that everyone has an inner goddess. And so when I say, I mean, of course, we all know we have an inner goddess, but specifically an inner creativity goddess. And she's someone that is always there waiting for us to call upon her. She's always waiting for us to bring her into the fold. And so one of the first things I want to do today is actually go on a sacred guided journey for you to meet your inner creativity goddess. But before we do that, I want to just check in the chat because I know I asked earlier if anyone wrote if they had or if they thought they had an inner creativity goddess, and also which goddesses you connect the most with. Oh, Brittany, you say that, you know, Bridget is your go-to. She got you through acupuncture and Chinese medicine college. Yes, because Bridget keeps the flame alive. I love that. And let me just see if there's anyone else before we go into this sacred activation. Oh, someone likes to connect. Let me see. Michelle, you like to connect with Kuan Yin. Oh, and you also like Bridget. I just feel like everyone loves Bridget. We have a lot, you know, I still have to like formally introduce Bridget to those who aren't familiar with her, but Bridget is so dear to my heart. she is a goddess that like she really revealed herself to me a couple years ago at Imbolc. And, you know, she was someone, I don't know if you guys, I'm going off book here. We are going to do, I promise, like the meditation to meet your inner creativity goddess. But I really just feel Bridget's presence wanting to come through in the space. So I just really want to honor her and really officially call her in, welcome the goddess Bridget into the sacred space. I don't know if you guys can feel, it's almost like a whoosh of energy, and she is just like pure firepower, just pure soul power in this space. And part of what Bridget does is like she ignites your soul fire. She ignites the sacred flame of your own heart. And really the magic, this is kind of what happens like with inspiration, is we feel that great burst of inspiration, but we don't know how to keep the fire going. And that is why working with Bridget is a phenomenal practice. Because it's, you know, even though like, yes, like for these 3 days, we're going to be in the sacred creative container, and you are going to experience like great moments of inspiration, insight, and aha moments, but we want to keep this fire going. And that's why Bridget really is like, she is the goddess of inspiration, because we don't want to just have inspiration for a second. We want that inspiration to be sustained. So I promise we're going to go into a little more about Bridget, but first I'm really excited to do this like really sacred activation with you to fully bring your inner creativity goddess online. So I invite you just to take a couple deep breaths and close your eyes. And I'd like you to actually, before we go on the sacred journey, just really feel, you know, your palms, like feel your palms together, like rub them together, feel your feet against the floor, get grounded, because this is going to be a bit of an adventure. So I invite you to just really sink into your body and now feel yourself transported through time and space to a mysterious mountain. So you're on a path headed to the top of the mountain. There's no one else around, but the crest of the mountain appears to you in the distance. And as you draw closer to the crest of the mountain, there is a bolt of lightning. You hurry to the top, feeling your feet move with excitement that you can't explain. There's something for you at the top of the mountain. You know it in the very depths of your soul. Something in your heart guides you to keep going. When at last the crest of the mountain comes fully into view, it's only a few stones away, and you walk to the very, very top, and you take in the view from up here, the view from this very high point. This is the highest mountain in this mountain range. And here you feel on top of the world. And all of a sudden, you hear footsteps behind you. You feel the scuttling of rocks. And as you turn around, you see a beautiful figure moving towards you, a great being with a powerful and mighty expression. This great being looks fierce, but strangely familiar. She has your face, your eyes, your mouth, yet there's a different quality to her. And when she walks, it's as if there are little flickers of golden lightning that move in her wake. All of a sudden, there's a great rumble of thunder in the sky and a huge bolt of lightning. The lightning comes down, and you feel humbled in this space as you look upon this great being who looks just like you, and yet you wonder who she is. The being smiles at you, and she says, "I am your inner creativity goddess." And I invite you to see how this sacred being appears to you. Maybe you see her as more of an Olympic Greek goddess. Maybe you see it as belonging to the Celtic tradition or ancient Egypt. However she appears to you is perfect. Just really take a moment to just really receive her presence. And as you look closely at her, you see there's a light in her eyes, for she is full of wisdom and inspiration and insight. And when she raises her hands, all of a sudden, there's another burst of lightning that comes from the sky. But she catches the lightning in both of her palms, and the lightning moves into her hands, becoming one with her. She doesn't flinch. It's as if it just adds to her power and potential. This great being is a goddess of pure creative power, and the lightning, it ripples from her fingers. This lightning, you recognize, is creative inspiration. It's the current that flows through her. There's a sizzle. They say lightning never strikes the same place twice, but inspiration does. And we're really calling in this energy. And all of a sudden, the inner creativity goddess walks over to you. She takes both of your palms in hers, and there's a transfer of electricity. And the electricity from her palms moves into yours. And really feel this electricity moving through your hands. Really feel the lightning as it courses through your whole body. As you're feeling this, there is another bit of thunder in the distance. And all of a sudden it starts to rain. But here, the rain just brings you into an even greater feeling of peace, wonder, and magic. You look to the sacred goddess. You see her once more before you now. And all of a sudden, she takes your hand. And as you're holding her hand, you feel it so firm, so strong in yours. And then it starts to fade until she is literally just moonlight, starlight. And this moonlight and starlight surrounds you in a swirl of beautiful color. And you feel this color just surrounding you, enveloping you. And you know in this moment that you have merged with your inner creativity goddess, that she has become one with you and you with her. How does it feel to feel this sacred embrace has happened, this sacred exchange of energy? And once more, just as before, there's a huge burst of lightning in the sky. And this time, as the lightning pours down, you raise your hands, catching the lightning between both of your palms, and really feel the sacred lightning move through you. This is the surge of creative potentiality. This is your power as a creativity goddess. The electricity doesn't disturb you or frighten you because you recognize yourself as powerful. You know on the deepest level of your being that you share the power of the lightning. All of a sudden, the rain stops and you leave the top of the mountain behind, heading back down, and you walk through beautiful forests to a special glen where the waters are still, calm, and serene. And in this place, unlike the top of the mountain where you felt the stirrings of great intensity, here in this place, you feel the power of serenity. It's this place of great softness. And in this place, you feel inspired to sit down at the edge of a stream and really feel the softness of this creativity goddess, this inner goddess that is you, the tenderness. She sits at water's edge peacefully. And all of a sudden, as if by magic, a scroll appears in midair. She takes the scroll into her hands, and as if by magic again, there's a quill that she takes in whichever hand is most dominant for her. She picks up the scroll and starts writing. And as she starts writing with this quill on the sacred scroll, she chuckles, for the writing flows effortlessly. It's as if the writing is literally pouring forth from the very, very heart of her being. The ink just pours onto the page. And in the distance, there is great moonlight pouring down upon her. And just really sit here in this moment with this beautiful quill in your hand, with this beautiful ancient scroll, and feel the power of creation, but feel it in a different way than you felt the lightning. Really feel this as soft. And once more, you look up at the sky, you see the moon, and the moonlight comes down and shards of light caress your face. And just really breathe in and feel what it's like to embody this kind of inner goddess, to really feel these two sides of her, the softness, and the lightning, receiving inspiration, taking it within, and then bringing it out into the world. And but you take a couple moments here in this space and continue being this goddess and writing on this ancient scroll. And as you write, there are little sparks of electricity that flow from your hands down onto the quill, down onto the page. Right now, you don't have to know which words they are. Just feel their essence, their frequency as they come through you. Open fully to this experience of the magic of writing, this magnetic energy that's pouring through you onto the page. And now I want to invite you to just take a couple deep breaths. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back to this sacred space, this time and space where we first began today's journey. Come back into the room, open your eyes, maybe rub your palms together. And now we actually have some writing prompts for you to actually really go into what it was like to meet the sacred creativity goddess, and if she had any words of wisdom for you. So hold on, my assistant is actually going to get this up for us. While the beautiful writing questions are coming online, just take a moment to really see how you feel. How do you feel differently? So everyone, this is day one. As you know, this is inspiration. And hold on, we should have the prompts. Here we go, beautiful. So these are today's writing prompts for what we just did. So I'd love for you to write a small story about your experience meeting your inner goddess. Who is she? What does she look like? Write what it was like to meet her, how you felt, and also any messages she had for you. If you have extra time, I'm going to give you guys 7 minutes. If you have extra time, write a letter from your inner creativity goddess to yourself. Open your heart and see what she has to say. Or if you prefer, write about yourself as this sacred creativity goddess and what it's like to fully embody the magic, medicine, and limitless power of creativity. So let me see here. It's 1:24. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys 7 minutes, and then we will come back. And everyone in the group, I'm actually just sending you energy this whole time while this is happening for a little extra magic for you all. So at the 5-minute mark, you have 2 minutes left. Okay. So I'm gonna hopefully we'll take off the prompts and we can see each other again. But I'm wondering if anyone would like to share what they've written. Hold on, let's come back. So one of my things as a creative writing teacher, I never make anyone share. I had a really bad experience when I was in high school where my creative writing teacher made us we share something we'd written that morning. And he said that like there was, unbeknownst to me, there was an assembly for the whole school. And he said, you're going to go and read what you wrote in front of everyone. And I was like, I only wrote this for like 10 minutes. It's not good. And my teacher didn't care and he made us do it. And I was so embarrassed. And from that day on, I vowed that if I was ever a creative writing teacher, which I am, I would never, ever make people share if they didn't want to. So that is, so yes, no, I know. Yeah, it was bad. But I really feel that I learned a great lesson because again, like I feel like my mission here, I really feel like I want to create a space where everyone just feels like so much joy when they share their writing with others. And that it really just gets to feel so fun. And, so that's why like, I feel like a lot of the old kind of models, it's like, it's not really kind of looking at like on the deepest level of someone's being, does that feel good for them? Does that feel safe for them? And so that's why when I do any kind of writing circle or any kind of sacred container like this, I invite people to share their writing when it feels really good for them and they're really excited to share it. So is there anyone, let me check the chat. Is there anyone that feels called to share? And if not, like I said, it's totally okay. I have more than enough material to keep going. So let me just check in the chats.
I think for me,
Oh.
I found that my creativity goddess wasn't one person. They were very fluid, shifting around in appearance. And I also found that a lot of times, I think we can all relate to this, like you feel writer's block. And I felt this goddess telling me that like, for me, writer's block can often stem with like my need to define things and make it about a certain thing, as opposed to just letting out what needs to be told and what needs to be said.
Yeah, I get what you're saying is like just letting it flow through you instead of trying to understand it as it's coming out. And that's why it makes so much sense that like your goddess had like all these different faces because she didn't want to be defined. That's why I think that's so powerful. I feel like kind of leaning into, I really feel like the mystery, just like leaning into the mystery and giving yourself permission, permission to kind of inhabit a space that you don't have to have the answers, that you don't have to have like defined edges to everything. So I really love that. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna, okay. So I know we're going to move into everything with Bridget because Bridget's like one of my favorite goddesses. But I also wanted to share just a couple little stories around writing for those of you who really want to increase your writing skills. And there are two stories that came to mind when I was getting ready for today. And so one of the stories is actually from a book I read a couple years ago called Pax. And it's like a children's, maybe it's like a young adult book. And so it's funny because at one point there's like a boy who runs away, and this older woman ends up finding him, and she figures that he's a runaway. And so she says, okay, I'll take you in for a couple weeks. And at first he's like, no, I don't like any adults. I don't like any grownups. And she's like, well, you can help me with my work or you can go. And he says, well, what kind of work do you do? And so she was like a master, like she crafted all different pottery, and she would make puppets out of wood. So for a couple of weeks, he would just watch her, making these wooden puppets. And eventually the young boy, his curiosity got the better of him. And he said, could you teach me to make a puppet? And so the woman's like, well, I thought you'd never ask. And so, she, basically gives him a bunch of wood, and she says, okay, you do this, this, this. And she says, okay, now you begin. And so the boy is trying so hard, and she goes over to him after a couple minutes and she says, who is the master? You or the wood? And the boy looks at her and he's like, I am the master. It's like, I am the master. I'm going to make it do what I want. I'm going to shape it, the way that I want this puppet to look. And, he's very forceful. He's very proud of himself that he's there making this puppet. And so, the woman, says, oh, okay, yes, you are the master. And she goes off. And then a couple hours later, the boy is now fully immersed in this process of making the puppet. He's bent over. He's like looking at all different aspects of the wood. And whereas before he was using more of his force, it's almost like now he's stopping to listen to the wood, to almost see what the wood wants to become. So the woman goes over to him and says, who is the master, you or the wood? And the boy looks at her and says, the wood is the master. And I share this story because that's what happens in the creative process. Is it starts out with our personal will and intention, us thinking that we are these, we are the creators, and that like it becomes more about like us, but really the creation is something that's wanting to come through us. It has this life of its own, and we get to be the channel, the conduit for it to come through into the world. And that's one thing that I really always like to say, that all of our creations have a life of their own. So when people feel like they're blocked, it's not that there is a lack of ideas out there in the world. There is no limit to all the creative ideas that exist, in quantum time and quantum space. It's just a matter, can we get out of the way? Can we open our channel to fully receive them? And really that is like the sacred magic, opening that channel for the divine inspiration, which is infinite, which is everywhere throughout creation, letting that come through, and then really letting the creation have its way, it's almost really breathing life into the creation. And that's why I think it's interesting that in the story, it's the puppet, because think about when someone makes a puppet, it on the surface, it looks like look at Pinocchio. It was supposed to just be a boy made of wood, but actually then that thing took on new life. And so really that's what happens with any work of art, is that we are really bringing in our divine breath of life into the things that we create. So it really is a very sacred magic dance that we get to have with our creations. So that's one story I wanted to share. And I also wanted to share something that I heard, and really because one of my whole things, I mentioned earlier that I was like in a master's program, and I really didn't feel like my creativity, like I really felt my creativity was like really stifled. And I remember there was someone who said to me one day, like, don't you remember when writing used to be fun? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I remember. That was like, because I loved writing my whole life. I loved writing. And I kept that kind of in my heart. And it was funny because it was a couple years later, I heard a study that was actually related to painting. And so this was a study that was done with, I think it was like 10-year-olds who loved to paint. And so they were just always painting these kids. And then eventually people came in to the school and they said, oh, we're going to give you a reward for every time that you paint something. So I don't know if that reward was like a candy bar or like whatever it was, they got associated with, oh, I do a work of art, I paint something and I get a reward for it. And they found, like, this is like one of those weird psychological studies, that once they remove the reward, the kids stop painting. And the crazy thing is, these were kids that loved painting. And so what happens a lot of times in our world is that we get into this kind of way of being that something's only worth doing if there's a reward, if we get something for it at the end. And really, the beauty of creative writing is that we get to show up, or even if it's not creative writing, any kind of writing, the beauty is that you get to show up and you get to do it for the pure love of it, the pure joy of it, without thinking of what it has to be or what it has to do in the world. Because that really is, to me, like, that is your pure creativity. And so that's just something I wanted to share with you, because I want us to go back to the way that we felt growing up, when everything that we did brought awe and joy and wonder and magic to our lives. So that's just a little story I wanted to share. I'm trying to see, before we go into, I've got some more stuff that I'm going to share about the goddess Bridget, goddess of inspiration. But does anyone want to share their experiences with writing, anything that they have, any lessons, words of wisdom that they have learned over the course of their years and experience? And again, if you don't want to share anything, that's totally okay. But my invitation to everyone here, this is why I really wanted to, I wanted to share that, that thing about the people like losing that joy to just create for the sheer joy of creation, because it really actually segues into the great goddess Bridget. Because Bridget, Pamela, hold on, oh dear, I'm not the best with technology. Let me try to.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Great. Yeah, I actually just wanted to share a little bit of my experience. I have been writing since I was very young. It was almost a compulsion. That was how I expressed myself. And a couple of years ago, I realized that due to life and all of the things that happen in life, I was feeling very shut off and shut down and really not communicating well. And I had stopped writing. And so I've been on a journey the last couple of years to lean into my guides, lean into my innate talent, and to really carve that space back out. And it's really interesting that this came up at this time. I mean, everything always happens at the right timing for the right reasons, right? And that's really what's happened here. And I just wanted to say that, in the years of writing this, what you're saying about, writing as a younger person and the joy of writing and all of that, it resonates so hard. And the meditation you did is absolutely, it was absolutely, the embodiment of how my own personal power works. So I'm very excited. I feel like this is completely aligned, and I'm just like, I want to just stop listening to you and just start writing right now. And I'm actually at work, and that's not going to work really well because my boss actually wants me to do work. So, it's going to be an interesting dichotomy over the next few hours of how much I actually work and how much I might go play. So thank you.
I am delighted to hear that. I know. I love how you're like, I'm at work, but I'm going to do writing. Yes, I totally resonate with that. Oh my God. But I'm so happy to hear that, because I really feel like the thing with writing is that when your soul is called to write, you can deny it, but it never stops knocking on the heart. It never stops knocking on the door of your heart. That's what I've experienced. And so I
Yes.
feel like that's what's happening for you, is that you've received the call to return to that magic of writing. And, that's why I'm so glad that I really felt like when I should have said in the beginning, like why I felt called to offer this. And to me, I honestly wish there was a reason besides the fact that the goddesses were like, you're doing this. Like, you're doing this. And I was like, oh, okay. So no, I really do feel that this container is to activate that creativity within you, because if there is something coming through you, the world needs your unique creative expression. There is something very special that only you can bring to the world. And that's why I just really, really feel like I'm so honored and so happy that you're in this space, and that you were like once more activated by your inner creativity goddess, because she has been waiting for you to come out and play. I'm just so happy to hear that. I really feel very, very strongly that like there are certain parts of us that even if they kind of fade away for a little while, they're always just waiting for us to
Yeah.
call them back.
Yeah, my guides have not been subtle about
Like,
the
"Dude,
direction
something
they are
now."
sending me right now. I have had, when you pay attention, you actually start seeing all the synchronicities, and oh my God, my guides are like, yeah, you need to get your crap together and get yourself back into this. So thank you.
It was my pleasure. Absolutely. So before we do more stuff with Bridget, let me just see if there's anyone else who wants to share. No worries if not. Okay. So I told people for today to bring a candle. I realized I thought about it afterwards. I was like, I should have told them like days in advance to bring a candle. So I know people might, oh, so you have a candle. Hold on. They call us a candle. Yes. It's like, so like, if you have a candle, I got this one really in honor of Bridget, like, cause hello, fire. I was like, I think fire usually is red, but I felt like this kind of golden color. Oh, let me just introduce. Okay, I just got so excited. I was like, I think everyone here just loves the goddesses as much as me. But like for anyone who is new to the goddesses, so Bridget is like the great goddess. She's the goddess of the sacred flame, goddess of poetry, but she is also the goddess of the dawn. And so really like the way that I see Bridget when it comes to inspiration, she is that first ray of light that graces the morning. And so really when we think of that kind of aha moment, that sudden burst of inspiration, that is like that first ray of light that signals the coming of the morning. And so like that is a way that we can really see inspiration as that first light, coming into the darkness. And so that is why Bridget is like the goddess to work with, the sacred flame, when you are really, I like to think of it as courting inspiration. And that's the whole thing, is when inspiration knows that that you are actively seeking her, inspiration will come. So that's the whole thing. And so when we light sacred flames, we're really courting inspiration, and we're also really creating space for inspiration in our lives. And Bridget she is this pure, powerful being. We're going to go on a guided journey to connect with her in a few minutes. And I know many of you have probably connected with Bridget before, but I'm really, really excited for what came through today. There's like a really specific energy she wants to bring through for all of you. But before we do that, I would just like everyone I have this fear that my lighter is not going to actually light the candle. I think it's probably going to be fine. But if it doesn't, it's like, it's lit in spirit. But so before we light our candles, I'd like everyone to take out your candles and really just kind of pour all of, I feel like the heart power that you brought with you here today, all of the inspiration that you are seeking, just really call that to mind. Call that to mind and actually really just feel the presence of Goddess Bridget here. I know we haven't, really done a meditation yet with her, but just really, really open your heart, put this candle between your palms and just really pour in all that you would like to experience in this next 3 days, all that you are hoping to ignite inside you. And we're really just calling it a great blessing from the Goddess Bridget for the highest level inspiration, for the highest level magic to take place in this space. And this is very significant. I think we're gonna light this now. It's like, just gonna, once more, Bridget, goddess of the sacred flame, goddess of poetry, please bring your gifts, your blessings through. So all of us here live and on the replay, bring through the creative downloads, the inspiration, everything that they need to bring more creativity and magic into their lives. Okay. So without further ado, I'm praying that this lights. Oh, it's working. It's like, okay, it's working. So you guys want to show me your candles, you can. If it's dangerous to you, you don't have to. Yay. It's like, yeah, people have their candles. No, see, if my candle doesn't want to, okay. I don't know if you can see, my candle is being temperamental. I'm going to put it down, put it over here. Okay. I'm going to have this lit for our 3 days together. I'll be like blowing it out at like night, but really I'm holding this like space for all of you here for our 3-day container. And so one thing that I also want to say, because I was really, I was in meditation, I learned that the structure for these 3 days, that it was like day 1 was inspiration, day 2 was flow, and day 3 was enchantments. And I'm sure you guys have seen from the emails that, each day we're really having a special goddess like come through to really hold that frequency. And Bridget was the goddess that showed up for this energy of inspiration. And I remember being surprised because, day 3 we're working with another goddess, Caradwyn, who has like the cauldron of inspiration. So I was surprised at first that it wasn't Caradwyn, but actually Bridget, when I really, felt into it, Bridget is goddess of the bards. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar, the bards were the storytellers of old, and really the bards, their great cultivation, they cultivated the magic of Awen. And so Awen is divine inspiration. So really in the sacred space, this is one of my special things that I love to do, is really connecting with the energy of Awen. And so for those of you who have not heard this word before, just know this is an ancient Welsh word for divine inspiration. And the way I really like to, to call into the space is through sound. So I'm actually going to sound like 3 sacred Awens to really bring sacred inspiration into this space. But first, I want to cast a sacred circle and make sure that we bring in Bridget. And so another thing I want to say, I was going to say this in the beginning. So I'm not sure how many of you guys follow the Celtic Wheel of the Year, but today is Lammas. So it's so funny. When I knew that I was supposed to create this for all of you, I didn't realize at first that it was on a high holy day. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar, Lammas in the Celtic tradition, it's the day of the first harvest. And so it's the first cutting of the grain. And it's a day of really reaping what you sow. And so here, I really think it's special because in this space, I really want us to call in an abundance of creative ideas, an abundance of, I feel like new directions that we're going to take our lives as a result of being activated in this space. And so I'm sharing all this because when I call in, I'm going to call in a sacred circle. We're going to call in Bridget, but I also really might call in some other great sacred beings, just to honor this high holy day and add some extra magic to this space. And someone says, yes, we're in a full moon. Yes, this is a full moon. I know, it's this was a power day. So it's actually, I think the full moon is in Aquarius. So that's also, again, it's like new beginnings. So I'm just really excited. This is a very, very powerful day. And I'm just going to share a little bit of the structure. So we're going to do a sacred meditation with Bridget, more writing with Bridget, and then I have one final meditation that's really going to be bringing in the magic of Lammas, this high holy day, once more with Bridget, because I just really want to make sure that we are honoring that we have all come together on this very sacred day. And so then, that will be it for day 1. But just so you guys know, that's what's coming. I know that we're already almost at the hour. I'm sorry. I'm not really good at time modulation. I'm whatever is coming through is coming through. But anyway, so I'm going to, without further ado, let me call in the sacred circle. So I cast this circle around me and everyone here for the 3-day sacred writing challenge, including those live and on the replay. I cast the circle to create a space beyond space and time beyond time. I cast this circle to block out all energies and spirits that are not allies of ours. I cast this circle that all energies raised herein remain confined. As above, so below, as within, so without, the circle is sealed. Beautiful. Into the sacred space, I call Bridget, keeper of the sacred flame. I know Bridget has already made her presence known, but Bridget, I invite you to make your presence even more known. And maybe for everyone here, maybe you feel all of a sudden a flicker of fire. Maybe you just feel a sudden warmth come in. So really calling in Bridget to the sacred space, really honoring her. Also calling in the elements, earth, air, fire, water. I always like to call in all of the elements. So metal, ether, starlights, the directions, north, south, east, west, above, below, and within. And for those of you who don't know that, Bridget is actually one of the members of the Tuatha Dé Danann. So those are the ancient gods and goddesses of Ireland. So really Bridget is like a fairy goddess. And so I want to call in on this high holy day, I want to call in the Tuatha Dé Danann, the other great gods and goddesses of Ireland, including Lugh. Like this, Lammas really is a day celebrating Lugh. So really calling Lugh into the space. And there's another great being in the Tuatha Dé Danann called Ogma, and he is a god of eloquence and sound. So I'm just really calling in these sacred beings into this space to really amplify the magic that Bridget is bringing through, because Bridget is one of these ancient Irish goddesses. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that wants to come through before we begin. Okay, no, I think we're going to go into the meditation in a second, but what I would love to do to really call in divine inspiration is I like to sound like the 3 Awans. And so this sound Awan, this is really the sound of first creation. And this is a sound that the ancient bards would use. And so usually like this would be like very high level magic. To connect with Awan was really to engage with the heart of creativity, with like really like the mind of God, the mind of the divine. To use this word, you are calling upon all of the forces of creation, all the forces that be. So but it's so funny, for something so magnificent, it's such a simple practice to call Awan into the space. We just sound the word 3 times. And again, this is an ancient practice of the bards, of the storytellers throughout the old Celtic world. And so I will sound the three Awans for us here in this space. And as I'm doing this, if you want to, I need to make sure you're muted, but if you're muted, feel free to kind of repeat after me. Or if you don't want to repeat after me, just let the vibration, the frequency of the word wash over you. So we're just doing 3 Awans in this space. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Awan. One more time. Awan. And last time. Awan. And really just like feel, I don't know if you feel like, again, like a ripple, a current in the air, but this is a very sacred practice. And so the bards every day, to maintain divine inspiration, you might call upon Bridget, goddess of the bards, keeper of divine inspiration, and you would raise the Awan. And to raise the Awan, it is like the practice I just did, the sacred sounding 3 times, because 3 is a sacred number. And so was really calling that in to really just like amplify this power, this magic here in this space. And now we're going to go actually into our next meditation. And so this is really like deep inspiration with the goddess Bridget. So I invite you to just take a couple deep breaths and, really like before, just like feel your feet against the floor. Feel your feet against the floor. Rub your palms together, because we want to really be in our bodies for this. And just breathe in. And once more, we call to thee, Bridget. Bridget, great goddess of flame, great goddess of fire. Pour down the blessings of passion and divine inspiration onto all of us here in the space. Bridget, goddess of words, goddess of mysteries, pour your blessings down. Let your song be known. Let your song be birthed anew in our hearts. Let us hear the sound of your voice. Let us hear the song of your heart. Let us know divine inspiration this day and all days. This is the prayer we offer the goddess. And now I invite you to feel yourself transported through time and space to a beautiful meadow in the heart of ancient Ireland. And this is Ireland as a place that is eternal and alive with magic and mystery. And in this sacred place, you see the sun rising in the sky. And there, when you see that first ember of light, all of a sudden a great goddess appears before you, Brigid, goddess of the flame, goddess of the dawn. And just see her there with her vibrant, radiant red hair bunched around her ears. It is so bright, so beautiful. The goddess sees you and she raises her arms out to you. And without thinking, the next second, you find yourself in the goddess's embrace. For Brigid is not a shy goddess. She is so happy to receive you, so happy you are here. You stay there for a moment, really feeling the embrace, the warm welcome of the goddess Brigid. For a fiery goddess like Brigid is always full of warm welcome. There's always much warmth to be found. All of a sudden, you break the embrace and you move a few feet back. The goddess Brigid closes her eyes. She puts her hands together and a sacred flame forms between both of her palms. She smiles at you and says, "This is the flame of true inspiration." You look into the fire between her hands, beholding the sacred flame. See it rippling there. More than that, see the flame as fully alive. And now just really feel Brigid's presence there before you, her holding this flame. She smiles and says, "It's your turn. Take this flame." For a moment you hesitate, but her warm smile reassures you. She invites you to take the flame of inspiration into your palms. You take the flame slowly, carefully. For another second, you're afraid it might burn you, but you take the flame from her and it doesn't. The second you feel the flame between both of your palms, you feel your soul alight with wonder. All of a sudden, very, very cells of your body, you feel the great majesty, the joy of being alive. Holding this flame between both of your palms, pure inspiration floods through you. And here, I invite you to really feel this flame between your fingers and feel each one of your fingers. Know your hands as great instruments of magic. Think of all the magical things your palms do in the world. And so, in this moment, the sun rises higher in the sky, and a single ray from the sun comes down, and it moves into your crown chakra. This is pure inspiration, and it moves through your crown all the way down to your heart. We're really calling in divine downloads from all the sacred beings we have called to this space. And just really feel yourself calling in new ideas in this swirl of sunlight that comes down. And just open to receive whatever wants to come through, even if you don't know what it is. Know that these ideas are for you and you alone. The universe has handpicked you to be the one who brings them to light in the world. Now just take a couple deep breaths. Brigid smiles at you. And all of a sudden, the great, beautiful golden ray of light that came from the sun stops pouring down. And it's just you and Brigid in this sacred space. You look around, the fields are just so green. You've actually never seen anything this green, this vibrant before in your life. Everything is just radiant and alive. And all of a sudden in this moment, you realize that's the magic of Brigid. You realize that inspiration is a force that's alive. Ideas are alive. Sound is alive. Even music, it's alive. And you look around the place, teeming behind every rock and every stone are great blades of grass and glorious fields and meadows and trees that shoot to the sky. and really just be in this place, feeling the hum of life, feeling life everywhere. Bridget, you suddenly remember, is the goddess of spring. And with spring, she brings life to your creations, life to your words, life to everything she touches. Bridget invites you to look at the sacred flame in your hands as alive, not just as something that you look at when the candle is lit, but as something that has a consciousness. Really see the sacred flame as fully, purely alive. And I invite you to really move your consciousness into the experience of the sacred flame. Become the flame in this moment. Become this flame of inspiration. Feel it become one with you. I invite you now to see creation as Bridget does. For her flame is alive. It warms, it nourishes, it soothes. And just feel life everywhere. Life between your palms, life in the eyes of the goddess, life in her smile, life in every blade of grass. Feel the sun coming down from the dawn. And just really take a moment to just experience the full majesty of this moment. And once more, take in this great goddess. See her there smiling. What is she wearing? What sacred messages does she have for you today? I invite you to take a moment to see if Bridget has something special she would like to say to you. Just open your heart to receive whatever the goddess wants to share. Beautiful. And even if you didn't hear anything, know that the goddess is still here holding you in the sacred space. You've experienced so much already in the sacred glen with Bridget. Before we go, I invite you to have a few more moments of communion with this goddess. See her there with her vivid red hair that seems to glow with an otherworldly golden aura. In her presence, you feel stilled. You feel full of reverence and respect for Bridget, this great goddess of poetry and the sacred flame. And really, once more, see the world through Bridget's eyes, through the way that you once saw the world as a child, through the eyes of awe and wonder and enchantment, seeing the world around you as if this were the first spring, seeing the world with fresh eyes, with new eyes. The flame burns away and makes the old new again. Yet the flame is timeless and eternal. Really recognize that this flame is holy, for it contains pure power and potential, just like you do. And now I invite you to take a couple more deep breaths. Know the fire between your hands is really holding very sacred coating, that it's really holding this very sacred, beautiful energy of divine inspiration. And Bridget invites you to take this flame of inspiration and bring it from your palms to your heart. And just feel that flame merge with your heart and become one with you. Just take a couple more deep breaths. And just really send Bridget your love, your gratitude for this beautiful moment that you shared with her today in this sacred space. I invite you to take one last look at the goddess, say goodbye. And now feel yourself transported once more through time and space, back to the room where you first began today's journey. And you might want to rub your palms together. You might want to move your feet against the floor, but just really come back to this sacred space. And we have more writing prompts for you. And I know that some of you are just really eager to write, but so this is some time to really kind of connect with Bridget. So let's see. Hold on, guys, we're getting the prompts. Oh, wait, hold on. Next one, here we go. So writing prompts. Okay, so what ignited in you when Bridget handed you the flame? Was something new coming through? Or was it an old and familiar sense of inspiration? Is there something you've always been inspired by, which is starting to smolder and expand? Or is it something brand new that you've never felt before? If you're not sure, just explore and see what comes through. Or try writing as the flame of inspiration and open your senses to the experience of embodying Bridget's sacred flame. So like before, I'm going to give you 7 minutes. I'll let you know when 5 minutes has passed, and then you can start wrapping up. So it's 2:09. Okay. So we're at the 5-minute mark. You have 2 more minutes. Okay. So if anyone wants to share what they've written, I would absolutely love to hear something, but if not, it's okay. So hold on, let's go back. Yes, does anyone want to share what came through for them in the meditation or in their writing? And again, like I said before, I never make anyone share. But if you would like to share, I would love to hear, whatever came through for you. Like I said here, like either in the meditation or in the writing practice itself. Don't worry. Hold on. Can we go back to okay, good. There we go. Thank you. I always have those moments where I'm like, oh my God. Oh, okay. Nicole, hold on. I'm going to ask to unmute. I get so excited.
I don't really know what I'm sharing, but toward, I guess, the end of the meditation, I got kind of a it's okay, and then like a pause, and then like to fail. And I think it's bringing me back to the play thing where as Pamela was saying, I think I really kind of resonated with that as well, because I keep forgetting that writing's supposed to be fun. And you can just mess up and like it doesn't really matter. And I always see it as like I have to get to some end thing that's going to be shareable, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, no, I love that. I also love the pause. I feel like that's so you, where it's like, it's okay to space, no answer, fail. Because I think it's so funny. I love that. I know. I just think that's a big fear, and that fear keeps people. I think it's actually kind of similar to what Sydney was saying. It's almost like that, like it's almost like because you want to have like everything defined, like sometimes that like desire for it to kind of to be a certain thing like prevents you from actually following the creative impulse. And so again, that feeling of like writing is like, I think that like I was saying this a little bit earlier in that story with the little kids who were painting, and they just painted for fun. And then they gave them like a candy bar every time they did a painting. And it just became all about the external. Like, it's like, oh, the thing is it only matters if there's some kind of external validation. And I feel like, because I know that you are a writer. And so I know that in like the writing world, it's like, oh, the validation is, did you have a story published? Like, do you have a published novel? And it's almost like when that becomes like the worth, like I feel like that's what happens, is like our entire worth gets put on how many stories have you published, how many books have you published. And it actually has nothing to do with like, does writing light you up on the deepest level of your being? Do you have fun? Do you experience joy on the page? And so I feel like that's kind of what your soul is saying, to kind of surrender and open to that joy even if you quote unquote fail or it's not perfect. So I think that your inner creativity goddess, and I feel like, and Bridget too, is just like, just really wanting you to kind of just fully open yourself to all of the writing that wants to come through you. Because if you think of yourself, I know, because I know you, like, I know that you have been writing for a long time, for many years. So that part of you that wants to write, she never goes away. Like, she's always there knocking on the door of your heart. And so I feel like it's like that, that moment where you get to say, like, how do I open to fully receive her? How do I fully open to this part of me that is the writer? Because if you weren't a writer, you wouldn't be here. Your soul would not still be calling you into higher levels of creative expression. So it's really letting go of all those people that have said, like, writing is serious, and it only means something if you have this external reward, if you get to this external milestone. Because really, that writing on its purest level is just about the joy of putting words on the page and letting them be magic for you and for other people as well. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. I'll remove the pin. And Michelle, let me read in the chat. I get very excited and proud of myself whenever I do anything with technology well. I'm like, I found the chat. This is so exciting. Okay, so Brittany, you have here, I have a memory of writing a book in grade 6. And you felt the joy of writing. Yes. Yeah, no, yes, like you wrote here, there's so much fun. It was so much fun creating back in elementary school. And that's what I'm talking about. And I remember actually when I got to, like I said, I have an MFA in creative writing, and I got there thinking this was going to be the most fun experience. I literally was like, this is going to be the most fun I've ever experienced in my life. And I remember it was like very serious. And it was like, we went in, it was like, everyone was like, we're workshopping, and there wasn't like a smile to be had in the place. And I asked like one of my teachers, I was like, aren't we supposed to be doing like more of these kind of fun, like writing exercises and like all that stuff to kind of create inspiration? He said, no, like that, like that's what you guys were supposed to do when you were younger. Now you're in a different league. And it was so weird because I felt like inspiration isn't something that you outgrow. That's so it's really like, I feel like in the sacred space, it's that reclamation. I don't want to even call it of the inner child, but that part of you that just finds pure joy in everything, whether it is writing, whether it's like playing with Play-Doh or playing with sand at the beach. It's that part of you that's just like so excited. And so really here, part of what Bridget, I think, is bringing into all of you is this reminder that this gets to feel good. This gets to be fun. And let me just see. I think a couple other people wrote in the chat. Michelle, you wrote stories and plays when you were 8 or 9. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm reading everyone here. Oh, and Pamela used to rewrite endings to TV shows because they were wrong. I do that too. It's like, I do it in my brain. I don't actually do it on the page, but no, I just feel like, nope, those writers got it wrong. So yes, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. Oh, and Nicole, you said here, my inner goddess in the first meditation was twirling and dancing. So I think it was embodying the same playful childlike energy. Yes, like that's what I'm talking about, because it's so funny. I've made this like calling your inner goddess, but really I feel like for a lot of us, it's calling upon, it's like that inner child. And this is kind of funny because I know Sydney earlier brought in that, the inner goddess like that appeared had different faces. And so I feel like our inner goddess, maybe there is part of the inner goddess that is our inner child. And really it's just this force that just brings creative magic, to the world. And it's not even, yes, sometimes we want to create a masterpiece, like a book or a script, and we want to share it with the world, but it's also, you get to have that just for yourself. You get to create just for the pure joy of creating. So I think that's it for like everyone responding. But I do want, before we go, I'm so glad that everyone is still here. I really wanted to do a special meditation in honor of Lammas. And it's funny because once I realized that, because I knew the goddesses wanted me to bring this through. And so I was like, okay. And I knew that, and it was like, oh, they said that it was a Tuesday. And I was like, and so I didn't really know the date at first, like when my soul agreed to like bring this through to the world. And that's when I saw that it was Lammas, I was like, oh my goodness, like there is something really special that's meant to come through. And so the more I sat with the energy, and I've said this a little bit, when we were working with Bridget, what was really coming through, especially because today is Lammas, is the energy of receiving. And so like, that's what happens is like, we receive creative ideas. And so when we like have that first harvest at Lammas, it really is, we're harvesting, it's that moment where we get to receive like the fruits of our labor. We get to receive on a really big level. And so I feel like that's part of what also is important for us as writers, is that we need to receive the creative downloads. We need to take action on them. But like, if we don't have an open channel for them to come through, we're going to feel stuck. We're going to feel blocked. So really, I wanted to work with Bridget one more time, really in a sacred Lammas meditation, to really just open up to receiving. And I'm going to spoil like the theme of the meditation, just so that you guys like have kind of an awareness going in. But when I sat with Bridget for this like special Lammas meditation, the energy that came through was like the fruit of life. Because think like what we're harvesting here today. We really want to harvest the fruit of life. Like that's the magic of being alive. So, we're going to go on another small meditation with Bridget before we close out for today. And don't worry, there's no more writing for today. There'll be more writing there will be more writing tomorrow. But we're just going to do this beautiful like final activation to really bring in the energy of Lammas, the energy of receiving, calling in the fruit of life. And for those of you who are still here live at the end, I also have giveaways. So just hang tight. For those of you who are still here on the call, I'm so happy that you've stayed this long. So without further ado, we're going to do one more beautiful meditation with the goddess Bridget. So really, once more, just, take another couple deep breaths and really calling Bridget into the sacred space. And I invite you to see her there before you. You're in a beautiful ancient glen. And this is like a special orchard with all different trees, many of which you've never seen before, most of which are not known to you. Some are mysterious. They seem to hold the energies, the mysteries of the other worlds. This is a sacred grove, and Bridget is here, and she smiles that you've come to be with her in the sacred place that is so peaceful, so beautiful on the sacred day of Lammas. Here on the sacred day, we just really come into full openness to really receive the fruits of our labor, to really experience the rewards of the harvest. And Bridget invites you to go within, to look deep in your heart and ask yourself, what are you harvesting today, here in this space, on the day of the harvest? Are you receiving divine ideas? Have you received divine inspiration? How are you going to harvest these in the world? Bridget smiles and says, you don't need to know yet how you're going to harvest these ideas. For now, it's enough just to be here, just to receive them. And in this moment, we're really inviting in a sacred clearing from the goddess for anything blocking your ability to receive, whether that is divine inspiration or just blocking your ability to receive the beautiful things that life has to offer. In this moment, Bridget takes both of your hands and a sacred current of energy passes from her hands to yours. And here in this moment, you feel your whole body lit up and you feel energy circulating, moving through you. And all that is not a vibrational match to you being open to fully receive. Feel all of that shooting out the top of your head, shooting out the crown chakra. And all of a sudden, there's another great, beautiful, glorious burst of lightning in the sky. And it seems that all the stuff from you moves from your head into the sky. You are free of all that was blocking you now. Here in the space, you're free of whatever was holding you back. Bridget looks at you and says, I am so happy that you are here in the sacred glen. You are ready now to receive the great fruit of life. And she takes you over to a special tree. She moves over to a tree that looks as old as time itself, and really get a good look at this tree. And she moves over to the tree, and a fruit falls down into her palms without her so much as even touching the bark. She smiles and says, this gift of the fruit of life is for you. You extend your hands to take the fruit of life. And as you stand there holding the fruit of life, it's unlike any fruit that you have ever seen before. It's beautiful and it's sacred and it's holy. Bridget says, this fruit of life, this is part of the mystery of being alive. It's a mystery to many, but here in this space, I will tell you some of its secrets. In this fruit of life are seeds. They are the seeds of infinite possibility and potential. They are the seeds that, when planted, create infinitely. This is the true nature of life, life as eternal. Here in this space, you holding the sacred fruit, you are holding the sweetness of life, the richness of life, and also the eternal nature of creation. Reflect upon the fact that one small seed from this fruit grows. Reflect on the fact, she says, that one small seed from a single apple grows and becomes a whole apple tree. Those apples fall down. Those seeds get planted again. Those seeds fall to the earth and another tree forms. It's an infinite cycle. So here in this single piece of fruit is contained all the power of creation. That is what you are here to experience. And she invites you to take this fruit, to bring it to your lips, and take a bite of this sacred fruit. Really feel the sweetness of life, the richness of life here in the space. You were born to taste the sweetness. And know that whatever you do in the world, when you write, when you create, when you're just being, that you deserve to experience life through this energy of joy and play and sweetness. And just really stay here for a moment with the goddess. And she invites you to lift this fruit up to the sky. And this fruit is really being blessed now by all the beings that we have called into this sacred space. And here in this moment, we bless all that you have harvested up to this point. We bless this sacred container. We bless your journey over these 3 days. And we bless the magic of your words. But you to take another bite of this sacred fruit of life and really feel into, what does this taste like? What feelings does it inspire in you? And just really sit with this idea, the fruit of life. What does that mean to you? And in this space, once more, the sun rises in the sky. Bridget turns to you with love and says, take this gift, the fruit of life, the richness, the sweetness of life. Take it with you. Bring this into your writing. Bring this into every moment that you go about your day. Know that this sweetness of life, this fruit of life, this is your birthright. This is why you are here. You may always return to this grove. You may always taste the fruit of life and know that as your truth. And here in this moment, I invite you to take a third bite from the fruit of life and just take a moment to really feel such gratitude for Bridget showing you the sacred place, for her releasing anything that was blocking you from receiving. And here in this moment, you fully open to receive all that life has held for you. Whether that is new opportunities, new experiences, whether that is new creative ideas, new stories that you're here to tell. In this moment, fully open to being a vessel of pure receivership. One thing about your inner goddess, she knows fully on all levels of her being how to receive. And just once more sink back into that energy of your inner goddess and just really receive the sacredness of this place, the sacredness of the fruit of life, and the beautiful, loving heart of the goddess Bridget. And I invite you to just take another couple deep breaths, see if Bridget has any last things that she would like to say to you here in this sacred space before you return home. Beautiful. Thank Bridget for this sacred fruit. Take one last look at this place. And now I invite you to feel yourself transported once again through time and space, back to the room where you first began today's journey. And really come back into this space. I hope that you have enjoyed that experience, celebrating the sacred Celtic High Holy Day of Lammas, the first harvest, and just really stepping into this energy of receiving, which is so important for us as writers and creators. For those of you who are still here, I want to do the raffle, but I'd also love if anyone wants to share. Oh, Pamela, I see you're writing something in the chat. Let me see. I get so excited by the chat. I was like, you pulled an oracle card from the Sacred Creators deck and it says Soul on Fire. Yes. That's part of it's so funny. There have been so many energies that wanted to play here today. Like there was the lightning that came through, there was the fire, and then there was this sweetness of life, this fruit. And I just really feel like that's part of what we get to experience as creators. We get the passion, we get our soul on fire. We also just get to come into the bliss and beauty of creation and know ourselves as an integral part of that beauty. Oh, hold on. Let's see, Jennifer, you've raised your hand. Let me ask you to unmute.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I missed quite a bit at the beginning. I had a really hard time logging in. But I just wanted to share now because that last process was so beautiful. And I had a really profound experience because in my life, I've had a lot of situations where I felt like things have been given, but then taken away from me, or a lot of false promises like, oh, if you kind of jump through these hoops, like that, this will be the reward. And so, you know, that set up all kinds of like survival patterns, I guess maybe I would call it, or, you know, like, and I've tried to unpack that. I've worked a lot to do that, but I just needed to say that for some background for what I experienced with Bridget. So when we went to the tree and she had the fruit and she started offering it to me, what I was seeing in my mind's eye was she offered it and then she took it back.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
right. Okay, but you know what? It had a beautiful outcome because what she then came and she was like, no, like I was keenly aware that that image was my creation because that's my expectation and that's my stuff around that and all that old patterning and programming around expectation. And she just said, it's like she swept all that energy behind her and she said, never again, like you've done enough work to heal that. And she said, you needed to see that so that I can show you that that is never again, like you do not have to enter into that again. And she held me for a lot of the rest of that meditation. And then she actually cut up the fruit for me so that I could take a bite. And all 3 of the bites that we were asked to take, I took and I received, and it was very emotional for me because I could really feel her holding me, and letting me know that part of my life is over.
Yeah, no, I almost got like, I could feel all the emotion. No,
Yeah.
I really feel like, I mean, I think that's like Bridget, like, even though she's a fire goddess, think of fire as something that like you sit by the fire and you're just like nourished and the fire warms you. So Bridget really has a lot of that loving tenderness. And I really understand. I really also love to work with fruit for the same reason like you're describing. Like for me growing up, I had a lot of experiences like where I really felt like you said, like I had really good things and then they were just like taken away. And I had like, when I was growing up, my parents got divorced. I've had a lot of stuff like that where it's just like, I felt like there was a certain inability to trust life or to trust that there were good things that were meant for me. And the more I started kind of working with this energy of the fruit of life, the more that I realized that this is here for all of us. That like really it is like your birthright to experience the sweetness of life, that is for you. And so I'm really glad that, like you said, like that you've worked through this like enough that you were really able to receive Bridget's loving words and that deep understanding that this is behind you and that fruit of life was always there waiting for you to take it. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you had that experience, because really it is over. Like you are here, and like when you work with the goddess like this, you know that like regardless of what's happening, like in the outer world, that like every moment, like this fruit of life, like that this kind of experience, I kind of think of it almost as like the Eden reality. It's like
Mm.
this is something that you can experience now because you're choosing it. And that's the whole thing, is that like I feel like we have to consciously choose to live in the new world, and what I call it the new Eden. But it's like we get to choose that. And like by making that our conscious choice, it's like we've stepped into this new reality. We don't have to be afraid anymore of losing that which is given to us. And we can start to trust. We can start to trust in life and trust that the things that are given to us, we can fully love and savor and trust them. So thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for those beautiful words, because that sort of, it's like it brought it home a little bit more. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Mhm.
Hold on. Okay. I have more people. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to Arve. I'm going to, can I, I'm having like, my brain is like so in the other world right now. I'm like, how do I'm going to add pin, but I also want to unmute you. Oh, wait, I think you're unmuted. Hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. I can't hear you yet.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm so glad. Yes, my brain was like in another world. So I was like, oh my God, how do I get, how do I unmute? So yes. Okay.
That one was me. Sorry. But I just wanted to share one thing that came through was like, something that I've been working on or experiencing is like that. I've been getting really mad at myself the past few years-ish, because every spring I'm like, I want to start a garden. I want to like, sow my seeds, and then I just never do, and then I get mad because like, then, you don't have anything to harvest at the fall. But the message that came through was, you don't need to worry about that, because even if you don't plant anything, you can still just walk in the woods and pick a fruit from a tree. It is your birthright.
I love
You
that.
know, like it is always here, no matter if you do the work. And I know we've talked about this a little bit too, like that act of just receiving and being open to being provided for. That's the energy that came through.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's like something that I'm very big about, because I had that same story where I just felt like, I think I've said this, for those of you who were at the Eden Avalon, the Holy Grail Summit, I know like you probably heard me say this, but I just kind of grew up with this idea that like, I didn't feel like God was ever really providing for me. I always felt like, God loved other people, but not me. And so the more that I did my sacred work in the world, the more that I realized just like how deeply loved I was by the universe. And like, I realized that one of my fundamental blocks in life was that even though I was so open to creative inspiration and the goddesses, on a fundamental soul level, I didn't feel that like life provided for me, that God provided for me. And that's actually when I started working with the energy of the fruit. And that's really why I feel like working with the fruit of life is so transformative, because you realize that like we are here for the universe is here to provide for us, because like we are one with it. Like there's no separation between us and the universe. And it's really, I think the world, there is like this kind of illusion of lack and scarcity. And once you shift out of that and you realize the abundance of all the divine is wanting to bring to you, all that the divine is wanting to provide for you, it changes your entire experience of reality. So like, that's something that I'm just like really honoring you for, because I know I went on that same journey. And I really had like kind of an awakening around that, because I was someone who was really kind of stuck in that like lack and scarcity. And I had this experience of, this was actually a couple months ago, I had like an awakening in the middle of the night, and I just woke up with this incredible love for literally everything in my world. And it shocked me, because I realized that was the love of God. That was the love that the divine has for every single one of us. And when I felt that, I just realized like we live in a universe where there is no shortage of love, where there is an abundance of love for every single divine being here on this earth. And so I just really feel that once we come into that knowing of how loved we are, that's when we can really receive the fruit of life. Because before that, before you recognize that how deeply loved you are and how deeply loved this creation is, it's almost like you can't fully open to receive all the joy, all the beauty that is here. And that's part of the magic of these activations, is that you open your soul to receiving, whether that is for writing or just receiving in life in general. And I just really feel like I'm so happy that you shared that, because I really do feel that, life is providing for you. The woods are providing for you. The fruit is always there for you. Thank you for sharing. And I think there was someone else I saw in the chat. I think who asked how to raise their hand. Michelle, did you still want to say, did you still want to talk? Michelle, if you want, I can unmute you if you still want to share something. Well, let me see. I know you're still here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Let me remove and let me switch.
I actually didn't want to say anything, but my Zoom software all updated itself when I switched it on, so I couldn't find the button for raising my hand for future reference.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, I'm still happy you're in the sacred space. I can just say that
yes,
the fact that your computer upgraded or your Zoom upgraded, I feel like that also speaks volumes. I just feel like
yes.
the whole thing is you're in this space, you're getting an energetic upgrade. So your computer, your Zoom is just mirroring
Yep.
what's happening. So I love that.
Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that, but I've still loved your update. So let me remove the pin. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that. So I think we're kind of at the end of today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about tomorrow, but first there's a giveaway for everyone. So before the giveaway is coming up on the screen. So yeah, let's do the giveaway first. And we have 2 winners who are going to be selected today. And I will tell you what the prizes are when we have the first winner. Okay. Or is it Michelle? It's like, I think, hold on. How do I know when it's done? My assistant is helping this. My tech skills aren't that great. So let's see.
We have a winner.
Yeah. Okay. It's Katerina. Okay. I like this because it has like the confetti. Okay. Katerina. Okay. So let's do both winners and then I will say what the prizes are. So can we do the other one too?
Yes.
Okay.
That's our
Okay,
second
Claudine.
winner.
Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So yes, let's get back. Okay, so I'm super excited. So I'm going to reach out to both of you personally, to see which prize you want, but let me just share what the prizes are. So the prizes, right now we have 3 prizes. And so the first prize is a beautiful book called Tending Bridget's Fire, or Tending Bridget's Way. I love this book. I am so excited to share this as one of the prizes, because this is the book that really initiated me in the magic of Bridget. It's Tending Bridget's Flame. There we go. It's Tending Bridget's Flame. It is a beautiful book. I cannot tell you, it's spoken to me on such a deep soul level. There's a lot of the mythos of Bridget. There are different rituals for magic with Bridget, but like not even just like witchy magic, like kitchen magic. Like Bridget is a goddess of the hearth. So it's also like different recipes with cream and like shortbread, and like it is a book. There's also a lot in there about connecting with Bridget through like sacred things like poetry. So if you really want to go deep with Bridget, this is the book for you. I have several books on Bridget. This is my absolute favorite, Tending Bridget's Flame. So that's one of the prizes. The other prize is a journal. And so there's one journal that's on the poster. And so I'm giving you a choice of that journal. And then there's another one that's like actually beautiful. It's green and has a fairy. One of my friends gave it to me actually for Christmas last year, and I think it's the most beautiful thing. So there are 2 journals. And if you want the journal, I will show you the 2 possible journals you can receive. And then the last prize is something called The Artist's Way, which is another book. It's like that has been a huge influence in my life. I think I read it for the first time like 10 years ago. And this is really like what we talked about today, is like really how to call that, that inner creative, how to really like be nurturing that flame of creativity all the time. And The Artist's Way, it's a beautiful book. I think it's actually like a 16-week program written by Julia Cameron. And it's a 16-week program to really like totally reignite your creativity. And she is phenomenal. The Artist's Way, I believe the edition that we're using for this giveaway is like the 30th anniversary edition. If you haven't heard of it before, it is a classic. It is an absolute classic when it comes to spiritual creativity. She was one of the first people to really bring spirituality and creativity together. So those are the prizes. I will reach out to our 2 winners individually. So for right now, just kind of think of what you would like, which one calls to you. If you come back again tomorrow, you have a chance to win another prize. So we're doing 2 prizes every day. And then the last day, day 3, enchantment, there is also a chance to win a grand prize, which is a session with me. And so in the session with me, there's like a little bit of energy work, but we're also going to do like a sacred activation like the ones we've been doing. I really feel like my activations are what people love the most. So that would be like a specialized activation just for you. That is the grand prize. Again, you have to be live to receive that. So I'm just letting you know, that's it on the prize front. In terms of tomorrow, we are moving into day 2, which is all about flow. And the goddess that really stepped forward for this is the goddess Saraswati. And she is the Hindu goddess of language and eloquence. And when you work with her, oh my goodness, your words flow like the river. She is one of my favorite goddesses to work with. And so you're really going to learn, like today we lit the flame of inspiration. I want to like get my flame for dramatic impact. So yes, my flame is still lit for everyone. And yes, I appreciate the people who put their flames up too. So I will keep this flame lit for most of today because we're really holding the sacred container with the flame, with the energy of Bridget's fire. But so today we lit that flame of inspiration. Tomorrow we're going into sacred flow. So I'm just really, really excited. Show up again tomorrow, and there will be, like today, activations, more, talk about writing and creativity. And I am just so, so excited, to continue connecting with you in this space. I want to wish all of you a very happy Lammas. I'm so glad you stayed to receive the sacred fruit. And I'm just wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you. I was like, so let me